Torah Or Vayakhel will start 176 second column, the second mimer. There's only two mimer. One's very long, and this one hopefully we'll be able to finish. Class sponsored today by Avram Aradian. Shkoyach. Okay, again, Torah Or Vayakhel, 176 second column. The pasuk at the beginning of the parsha says, "K'chu mi'itchem truma la'Hashem," take from yourselves an uplifting to Hashem. Kol nediv libei, any generous person, yiviyas trumas havaya, bring the gift of Hashem. So it says twice the word truma. One it says truma leHashem, truma to Hashem, and one time it says trumas Hashem without the lamed. Shh. L'hoven in your base truma say le'achas leHashem va'achas trumas havaya. So one is leHashem, one is Hashem. Hinei truma lashon reimim is, the word truma means uplifting, elevation. Like we say, aremim chalakai amelech. V'gam, that's one definition of the word truma, means uplifting. V'gam truma lashon hafrasha lahafrish truma. Another definition of the word truma is to separate. One is to elevate, one is to separate. Lahov in Yinareimim is to understand what does it mean, this level of exalting. In the chain of the worlds, there's two different levels. There's mamala kol almin v'seiv kol almin, permeating and encompassing. Shebachin is mamala kol almin ukamo shel neshama. What's the analogy of mamala kol almin? The moshel of the neshama. Shemachayis aguf, that gives life to the body. Mislabeshes, but dresses itself into the body. Lahachis b'chinas is chalkas in a divisible way. Machshava, dibur, maisa, meichen barash. You know, you have seichel, midas, thought, speech, and action. V'chein kol eiver chayis prati. The same thing, every individual limb has its own personal chayis from Hashem. Trying to see where this parentheses end. Okay, doesn't matter. Every power of the neshama comes into that particular limb according to that the abilities of that limb, according to the makeup of that limb. For instance, in the eye, in the eye comes the power of sight, because the eye is the power, the vessel for sight. And in the ear you have the power of hearing. And the power of action comes into the hands, that comes all the way down to the feet. So what is the definition of mamala kol almin? Permeating each level according to the makeup of that level. Based on the level, therefore, because the head is more refined limb than the foot, so therefore there's a greater revelation of the neshama in that respect in the head, more than because it's a more refined level. Therefore, those powers of the neshama, the greater powers of the neshama, are revealed in the head versus the hands and the feet. Okay, and therefore, because the vessel is more refined, it's able to handle a greater revelation. And the other hand, in the hands, the hands are not refined enough to receive this gilui. Like we know, it's hard, just physically, the head is much more refined and more delicate than the foot, which is even less delicate than the hands. So he says, mamala kol almin is based on the keli. Only the power of action. But the hands are even greater than the foot, that the only thing the foot could do is walk. It can't write. It can't, do things. Right? So therefore, it's a whole difference. Mashen can be yad. The foot can only walk. The hand, though, kadum kom lachis machsheves lichtiv divrei chochma. The hand could write with smart, intelligent things. The hand are obviously much more refined than the foot. The foot can only walk. So therefore, why is that? Because the hand, yes, the head is higher than the hands, but the hands are also higher than the foot. Arisha seichel, afo pishenim melubish begili biyad. Even though the seichel is not openly revealed in the hand, nimshuchens galide emtsois kerchamaisi should be a dime. Here the Alter Rebbe says an interesting thing. Intellect is only in the head, but nevertheless, the intellect could come into the hand and not in the foot. For the intellect could come into the hand to write intellectual things. The foot can't do anything intellectual. Huh?
Just for kicking, for defense.
Yeah, kicking, walking. The walk power of walking in the foot. In Shayr Bam Shachas, it doesn't have this revelation. Alpha became.
Kohen Gadol could not have gone to Kodesh of Kodesh unless the food would take him.
Oh, 1 second. Exactly. Did you write this?
No.
No, not yet. Alpha became. So even though the head is higher than the hand, but there's an advantage of the foot. Alpha became mechinas acheres in a different way. Yeshmaila beregel. There is an advantage of the foot. Shenesi Sarasha takes the head where it wants to go. As was just profoundly stated, that in order for the Kohen Gadol to go into the Holy of Holies, he needs his feet. He couldn't crawl there. Why is that? If it's the lowest, how can it elevate the head? Because Noah's Teifen Tichlas in the end is wedged in the beginning. V'yesh b'bahasof, and therefore in the end, there's a level of Tchila. Therefore in the end, there's a beginning. Ach mikama came nikra regel safe, but nevertheless, the foot is called the lowest of the body, but not in the hand. Why? Hainu shebeyad yesh gilui hachayis yaisim beregel, because the hand has a greater revelation than the foot, like it says ksivus aseichai de'adayim daik. Mizeh calls them, why? This is all mamalakol, right? Why? Because what does it mean, the marshal of the nefesh? In the nefesh gives power to the body in a way that every limb, based on the makeup of that, the tchuna, the characteristics of that limb, that's how much it gets. Yet, he says, and how much in passing it is, the foot has an advantage over the head. That if you want to get somewhere, you need the foot, not the head.
Rabbi, I kicked someone in between the legs and he got total intellectual awakening.
Yeah?
So it can also help.
With Memale, the more refined,
The more you get.
the more you get.
Right.
It's not the same with Michael.
No, 1 second. Mizem moving in. So now, how is this in Elokus? In Mamalakot, in Ishtalshalis? So it is also in the Chayis that comes in from Hashem, B'teich kol almin into the worlds, meaning B'chol Eilam B'chol Nivra. Every limb gets its particular power from Hashem. This revelation that Atzilus is higher than Bria, higher than Yitzira, higher than Yesiya, and that Chochmah is higher than Bina and higher than Midas, that's all in the realm of Ishtalshalis. Because Chochmah is a more refined vessel, so the order of Chochmah is greater. Malchus is a less refined vessel, so to speak, so therefore Malchus gets less. Because for instance, in Gan Eden no Elyon, the higher level of Gan Eden, which is where tzaddikim live, Meir Begilu Yosef, there's a greater revelation. Similar to the seichel in the head. So Gan Eden or Elyon is where tzaddikim hang out. I mean, the great tzaddikim. Then you have Elam HaMalachim, that's the world of angels. They don't have intellectual understanding of Hashem. Malachim are just naturally have love and fear of Hashem. So in other words, basically, Gan Eden or Elyon, it says in Chassidus and Kabbalah, is Bria. Most of the Malachim are in the world of Yitzira. Which is Michal. And Gvura Dre is smaller, that's Yira, which is Gavriel. Okay? So even though these Malachim are not the level of Gan Eden or Elyon, they have basically instinctive Ava v'Yira, Yesh Lam Asaga Gamkein, like they have a little bit of Asaga. In other words, like this. The Rebbe said in the Moshel that the head has all of Seichel and the hands don't. And the feet even less. Nevertheless, the hands have a connection to Seichel because the hand could write intellectual things. So it doesn't really have Seichel, but it's a keli for Seichel. Right? So there's things that the Malach, the Neshamis of Gan Eden or Elyon, they have an understanding of Hashem, they have a Seichel of Elokus. The Malachim don't. They're in the world of Yitzira, but nevertheless, they have this level of like the hands that you could reveal Kedusha through them. V'gam k'mei sha'seichel nimshul mislabish b'midah shebelev shul gili pnimis yesim yadayim ki yadayim echetzines amidas. And the same thing yesh malachim pnimis of Michal and Gavril ei shemayim shemidas belev. The same thing, the malachim like Michal and Gavril are Ava and Yira. Michal is love, Gavril is fear. And they have Chitzain is Draya Mina. They have right hand and left hand. He said it like this. The Malachim, Gavril, Michal and Gavril, they have Midas, Ava and Yira. And then they also have Chesed Draya Mina, Gvura Draya Smola. It's the right hand and the left hand, which the right hand is Michal and the left hand is Gavril, but that's the way the midas come down lower into the level of hand. And then it comes all the way down into Chayis in the well of Asiyah. By the way, this is where the parentheses ends over here. And so it says, you, Hashem, made heaven and the heavens of the heavens. Right? And you give existence to everything. Meaning, and it permeates each world on its own level, like like the heavens of the heavens has a much greater gilui than the heavens do. And definitely a greater gilui than the earth does. That's all in the level of Mamalu Kalam. B'Shemaim is Gili Yosel Yen Ma'ad Commissioner B'chush. Okay, so he says like this. There's a lot of parentheses in this Maimon. Okay, but anyway, we're going to learn them. So now the Rebbe says there's a level of Mamalu Kolamin and his Sefer Kolamin. The marshal for Mamalu Kolamin gives the way that the neshama comes into the body, right? Every limb gets different chayas. Seichel's in the head. Hands have action, but it's an action connected to be able to reveal intellect. On the other hand, the foot, right? So the same thing in Ruchnias. You have the level of Elokus, which is like Gan Eden or Elyon, which is the level of tzaddikim, which is seichel, understanding of Elokus. And then you have the malachim that don't have an understanding. It's basically ava and yira, but that level comes through also into right hand and left hand.
But if the hand is less refined and the head is more refined, why do we put the feeling on the hand first and then the head?
Well, what is say refined? Say refined. More gilui.
More of a kid.
More gilui.
Because the ultimate purpose is that the Chassidus explains why is taking the yad first. The yad represents action and emotions. The head represents intellect. And also, as the Berditchever said, the hand tefillin represents the simple Jew. No, the simple Jew. No, intellect, head tefillin, By Hashem, the simple Jews come before the great. That's what the Berditchever said. But over here, Chassidus explains that the purpose is to love Hashem in action, so therefore the yad comes first.
That's an explanation why you put it.
And fill in first, yeah. What the Berditchever said is even, I don't say the word nice, it's a funny word to use, but it's a very beautiful concept. By Hashem, the simple Jews are greater than the intellectual Jews because they do it with emunah, simplicity, they just do it because Hashem said so and so on. Okay, so he said, the Yuvan said, we'll see this even more, this concept of Mamaluk Kol Almin, in the revelation of the Mon that the Jews had in the Midbar. The Pasuk says, Hashem says in Parashat B'Shalach, I'm going to bring rain of Mon. The Mon rain down. Imagine said with diamonds and gold and silver and all good stuff. What is the level of Mon? Mon is called Lechem Abidim, the bread of the strong ones, that the Malachim, what do the Malachim eat? I mean, obviously they eat.
No.
Huh?
No food.
They eat Mon. What did you say?
No food.
No, it says they eat the Mon. It's spiritual. Also he says, V'utamua, now it's a wonder, Eich Malachim Shem Ruchniim, how can Malachim, which are spiritual, Yechud Dav Mon Shayadav Gashmi?
Right.
How could the Malachim? Good question, huh? That's a good question.
Moshe didn't eat 40 days.
I understand. One opinion says he ate the Mon up there, but like the Malachim, no. So now it says in the Bible that the Malachim eat the Mon. Right? That's how he's. So the question is, how can a spiritual entity of an angel eat physical bread? So he says, he's not talking about the physical Mon down here. He's talking about the Mon up there, the spiritual Mon. The Mon is at extremely high level. That it comes down from the dew of the heaven, which is Tala, the Bulcha. The Tal, like remember we learned, Tal, dew is even greater than rain. Rain is dependent on Aveda. Dew, whether you behave or not, you get the dew. That means it comes from such a level that good or bad are the same. Huh? Down here they bring with Avraham Avinu. They bring by the oil. Vina ba'oil. Kital eres telech. The dew of your light is your dew nimsa. Shemamish eres al yenim ruchnim. Okay? So therefore the spiritual Mon, the spiritual source of the Mon, is extremely lofty. And he says in Zayad, it's called Tala de Notif Me'atika Lezah. Dew represents the level of Atik that comes into the 6 spheres. The higher level of Kesed that comes into, that's where dew comes from. So dew comes from Atik. V'zeu Tala Shemayim. Hey Mamish Nimshcho v'nislabshu b'mon. That level comes into the Mon. Ve'ech yiyam shachazu mimakim elyein. So now the question is, how is it possible such high level of Mon can come into a physical Mon? It's such a lofty level, it's higher than world. So how can Mon, the spiritual Mon, come into a physical world?
The 2 levels of dew.
So he says, he says, we must say that when Mon, the spiritual Mon, comes down here, it doesn't come down in the same level. Because it can't come down in the same level, it's too great. If it's too great, again, he's speaking about Mamalukam is coming down in his Shtalshalis. Elavade hainu aidei islavshi b'seder ishtaushus. From madreg to madreg, from shmei hashemayim, from the heavens of the heavens into the shemayim, and then it comes into Yoretz. Therefore, ba'ed l'mayla. Therefore, when the mon, before it comes down this lofty level down here, they support themselves because up there the mon is not physical. It can't be physical.
So Malachim had the mon up there.
They eat the mon.
The one up there.
Correct. But even that level that the malachim eat is not the source of the mon. Source of the mon is in Atik. Correct? The malachim are in Yetzirah. Some of the big guys in Bria. Okay? From Atik to Bria is a Hiseder Ishtalshalis. Then it finally comes into Gashmias.
What is there to eat? There's nothing to eat. What's the eating about? It's nothing.
Example, he's giving you
Nothing physical for them to eat. Why are you saying they eat?
It doesn't a human language.
They eat the spiritual mon. Okay, let's one second. Let's go back. Okay, let's go back a second. Now the Rebbe says in Tanya, we learned this. Not in Tanya. A malach also has a body.
They have a stomach, they don't have a stomach. All right.
Tablanut. You like him already. Relax. The malachim have a body. The human body is composed of 4 elements: fire, air, earth, and water.
Yes.
Okay. Now, earth and water are physical.
Yes.
Fire and air are more spiritual. The malachim guf. The Rebbe says it's in Tanya. The body of the malachim is made from the 2 elements of fire and air. Therefore, they're more physical, but spiritual. But they still have a spiritual body. Not the coarseness and the physicality of earth and water, but they're composed of fire and air. Okay? So they have a body. Now, the malachim spiritually also have a stomach. Savlonut.
It says it.
Relax.
When Abraham gave them food, they just...
Okay, no, don't. That's what it's not the context. I eat the food, nobody should see.
That's what they say.
They do a doggy bag and like
That's what they say.
don't be afraid.
They says it.
Okay, not in the Chassidish, not in the Chassidish one. Anyway, so what happens over like this? We say in davening, in right before Shechanad, V'chol karav hayashem kachay. All simply means all my innards will praise Shem Kachi, the holy name of Hashem. Okay? So in Chassidus it says, it's a medrash, and that's the end of Zayah. There's a malachim that are called kirbayim. There are malachim that are called stomachs up there.
Stomach.
Yeah. What do you mean a malach is called a stomach? Again, human terms. What is the function of a stomach? To separate the good from the bad of the person. The good stays in the body and the bad goes out. Unless if you're at Yitush. Okay?
We got tall buildings.
1 second. Okay. Yes? Now, there are malachim. When we daven, the tefillahs go through the malachim. So the malachim may have a job to separate the good part of davening that we daven, what we're thinking about, and the bad part of davening, they separate it. So when it says v'chol karavai, Hashem kachi, doesn't only mean the physical stomach. What do you mean, our guts and praise Hashem? It means the malachim that separate our tefillahs, like the stomach, they also praise Hashem. So malachim have a stomach, malachim have, but it's obviously spiritual, not physical, like our stomach that likes to eat pizza and fresh chazarai.
Tall buildings are physical. Rabbi.
So Rabbi, the malachim that visited Avraham Avinu didn't have any